Hey guys, it's Gerald back at it again with another video. In this video, I'm gonna go over Lululemon stock here. We had two notable insider buys from the director as well as the president, CCO, and interim co-CEO here. So Berg Charles, the director, bought nearly $1 million on March 19th at a price point about $164. Andre Maestrini buying nearly about 500,000 worth of his shares at around 151.02. The stock now is trading at about 167.28 here. I'm going to take a zoom in on Lululemon stock on the daily time frame here. Looks like we have just reclaimed that 50 simple moving average. So we're looking for a hold above this level for a push up higher, right? So I'm going to be going over the fundamentals of this company, looking over its strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and threats. Of course, we had the most recent headline with a toxic chemical with Lululemon clothing. So we delving into this, sort of going over the stale product pipeline with Lululemon and whether or not I think a lot of it is warranted or not, right? So this stock here is a premium brand that is now facing a lot of hurdles, right? So there's a lot of headwinds for this company here. Do I believe for the long term, this company has what it takes to survive and thrive in this economy? Or do I think this stock is doomed for failure here? So Lululemon stock here is now trading from a hyper growth darling to essentially a deep value play here, as it's now sitting at decade low valuations, right? So as it navigates a leadership vacuum as well as a stagnant North American market, right? While the international business, specifically in China, remains a vibrant growth engine, the domestic core is suffering from a stale product pipeline that we discussed previously, as well as inventory bloat here. So management now is currently battling margin eroding tariffs, as well as aggressive competition from younger, cooler brands like Alo Yoga, as well as Viore here. Throughout all of this, the company has a fortress balance sheet and has a commitment to massive share buybacks that provide that significant margin of safety for those who are patient investors here. So going over the strengths of this company once again, this is a company with explosive international growth led by China, which provides that durable long-term expansion engine for its revenue, right? So while the North American market has significantly stalled, Lululemon's international segment remains that powerful driver, growing nearly 30% annually. The Chinese market now contributes roughly about 18% of its total revenue, up from 13% just a year ago, right? With same-store sales consistently outperforming domestic results here. This is a company with also a fortress balance sheet and robust cash flow generation here. So Lululemon has a debt-free balance sheet. With over $1.8 billion in cash to fund growth as well as buybacks here. So the company aggressively utilized its cash position to repurchase 1.2 billion shares during fiscal 2025 with a fresh 1 billion authorization that was just recently improved. They also have industry-leading retail productivity and a direct-to-consumer model that maintain high operational efficiency as well as control here. So they continue to dominate retail metrics with sales per square foot exceeding $1,400 across its store base here. So they are a vertically integrated model, right? Vertically integrated direct to consumer model. So that accounts for nearly half of its total sales, allowing the brand to bypass wholesale markdowns and maintain a direct relationship with the customer, the consumer themselves here. There's also a very strong brand loyalty with this, as well as a premium positioning that Lululemon offers, right? They create that durable moat in that athleisure space here. Looking at the weaknesses of this company here, we did have the recent departure of CEO Calvin McDonald in early 2026, and now the company does not have permanent leadership, right? Right now, we are with interim executives, and the brand lacks a long-term visionary leader to navigate that current North American slowdown. So how they're going to face that headwind with not a stable leadership, that's going to be a big headwind that the company still needs to overcome here. As we've stated throughout the video, a lot of the sales in North America has stagnated here. So comparable sales in the Americas have turned flat or now even negative, indicating a potential ceiling for domestic growth. As North American still presents the vast majority of the total revenue, this slowdown puts immense pressure on the international markets to carry that entire growth narrative for this company here. So they need to do two things here. They need to balance their growth with maintaining what they have of the North American market, or essentially inflect that North American market here, as well as continue that growth in the international market, specifically in China there. So now they are also with significant margin compression, driven by intense promotional activity and rising trade tariffs. Gross margins have fallen from historical highs of 59% towards 55% as markdowns become more frequent. So increased logistic costs as well as new United States trade policies have added significant overhead to that Asian-centric supply chain here. So looking at the opportunities for this company here, there are quite a bit here. They are aggressively expanding internationally here. So the planned entry into Austria, India, and 4 other markets in 2026 represents a record expansion pace. By utilizing a franchise partnership model in these regions, Lululemon can scale rapidly with lower capital expenditure. Another catalyst for this company is a visionary CEO, right? Right now, there's no permanent CEO position here. So while they are navigating this interim positions for its leadership, once there is an established CEO, there's more solidified structure and solidified strategy for this company moving forward here. So that is a catalyst for this company here, especially as it's sitting at decade low valuations here. This company is also pivoting towards lower tier cities in China to secure the growing middle class, right? So penetrating tier 2 as well as tier 3 cities in China offers a massive secondary growth curve for the brand here. Initial data from these regions show high demand for premium Western athleisure as a status symbol. By moving beyond Shanghai as well as China, as well as Beijing, Lulu can tap into a consumer base that is increasingly health conscious as well as brand loyalty here. Looking at the threats of this company, there's intensifying competition from their rivals such as Alo Yoga as well as Viore here, which are eroding their market share. High growth challengers are successfully targeting Lululemon's core demographic with superior social marketing here. Alo Yoga has secured a significant share of that premium Gen Z market, while Viore is winning over that male consumer who find Lululemon may be stale or nothing is new coming out of this company here. Looking at the valuations of this company, it looks like the stock is with an intrinsic value about 257.88. So with an undervaluation by roughly 35.1% here. They have a discounted cash flow value of $224 with a relative value about $290. So averaging those two, you get roughly around 257.88. Both considerably higher than today's valuation here. Wall Street thinks the same thing. Average Wall Street price target is sitting roughly around $235 here. We have 23 buys, 64 holds, and just 1 sell here from Wall Street. Looking at hedge funds and super investors, the one notable one we have is with Michael Burry here. You won't see him here as he's away. He's no longer in the public markets. But we have here Stephen Cohen, who initiated a position who's down 9% with an 184 average price for this company here. We have Terry Zhang with a $21 million buy with about 184 buy here, as well as other significant investors. Dimensional Fund Investors has a $264 million stake, sitting roughly around $230. Israel Englander with 115.41 million, and he's down about 11% here as of the most recent quarter here. Of course, we went over the insider buys. We had 2 notable ones with Berg Charles as well as Andre Mestrini. So a collective $1.5 million insider buys within the last 3 months here. So we're not too far away from Berg Charles's $1 million buy. And of course, Andre Mestrini timed that bottom really well at 151, and we're considerably above those levels now, right? Looking at the financial metrics of this company here, revenue growth, of course, has been stalling for this company, not trending in the right direction, newfound leadership, yet to find a solidified leadership for this company here. So that revenue curve definitely needs to inflect for that valuation to re-rate. We have a company who is massively free cash flow positive with a fortress balance sheet that we discussed previously. 0 debt with $922 million in free cash flow in the trailing 12 months with a free cash flow yield of 4.91%. Returns on assets, equity, capital employed, all excellent, right? Return on assets about 20%, return on equity about 34.82%, return on capital employed about 37%. For this company here. And of course, we have a buyback for this company here. This company recently just went through a capitulation event here. So established new lows. Most recently, we hit the 50, retraced to the golden retracement, and now sitting above the 50 simple moving average. So now we're sitting right at prior highs. We definitely need the structure to hold for that third wave move up here. But it looks like the low has pretty much been set in with a lot of these insider buys most recently here. So looking at what I project for this company here, I'm looking at potential move from a wave 1, a wave 2 towards golden retracement, and a potential third wave move here. So looking at that third wave move, where does that potentially lead us in terms of price action? A 1.618 move for that third wave puts us roughly around $196, which is currently still about 17% away from where we're currently at here. Of course, it looks like the stock is making its way over to the 200 simple moving average. And on the weekly time frame, we are still sitting at weekly lows here. We have yet to reclaim the 50 simple moving average on the weekly time frame. As well as looking at the monthly time frame, we have just closed above the monthly 200 simple moving average here. So good setup for Lululemon coming into the coming weeks and even months here. So I want to take a quick look at what dark pool data has been telling us for Lululemon here. So I'm going to go pull up Lululemon. So looking at the 14-day dark pool data, it looks like we are heavily bullish with a positive $13.5 million net flow here. So 25.5 million compared to 12 million bearish here. So looking at the last 3 days, we've seen some pretty aggressive buys here. A $5.8 million buy at around 162.92 3 days ago, as well as another 2.5 that was aggressive buys, right? So I'm not seeing a bunch of aggressive sells, which is what I like to see. And we've been getting some good loading from whales on the bullish side here. So whale data looks good as well here. So that is my Lululemon analysis. If you guys have any other stocks you guys want me to review, shoot them down in the comments below. Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.